welcome to episode 3 of our pre-budget series, Taxing Times. And on the agenda of this show is indirect taxes. To do or discuss or debate what is expected on the indirect tax agenda, I have with me Vivek Mishra, Executive Director, Tax and Regulatory Services at PwC, Bipin Sapra, Partner Indirect Tax at EY, and Mohan Raghavan, the Vice President of Excise at Mahindra & Mahindra. And so Vivek, Bipin and Mohan, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to start with you first, Mohan. I think one of the key expectations this year, broadly speaking, not from industry of course, but broadly speaking, is that the Finance Minister may, in some sense, because of revenue compulsions, be forced to roll back the stimulus measures that he had provided industry for the last few years. What is your expectation on that front?
Menuka, let me bring it in perspective. In December 08, the initial stimulus started from 14 to 10, and then in February 2009 to 8%. It again got rolled back by about 2% in the year March 2010. Subsequently, we strongly believe that it might hold. The reason is today the inflation is almost, it's not getting contained. In that sense, the government doesn't have much option to really increase it. Number two would be that the manufacturing sector as it is today is contributing quite a bit to the revenues of the government, and it's much beyond their expectations. In fact, the realizations are quite good from the indirect tax side. Now, the question that one would really ask is, would the government really put its foot forward and say that, okay, let me jack it up by 2%? Would it be really populist in that sense? My sense would be that, yes, it won't be happening this year.
I don't really see why he would be rolling it back. What has happened in the past 1 year is that the excise collections or the indirect tax collections are almost 40% higher than the previous year.
Right.
The industrial production index we see keeps on fluctuating. So sometimes it's high, sometimes it's last month it was quite low. So there's a lot of fluctuation going on there. So there's no steady thing happening that the economy is going in a particular path. So that's he would be a little apprehensive.
So you were saying he's worried about growth on the one hand.
Yeah.
He's worried about the input cost pressures that industry is facing, and therefore the challenges to growth that industry is facing. He's also worried about the inflationary impact that an increase in excise rates will have on the economy. And so therefore because he's worried of all these three things, he's going to ignore the revenue compulsions, that despite the fact that he's had strong growth in indirect taxes in the last year, he needs even stronger growth this year because there is no 3G revenue. What do you think, Vivek?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're in we're in pretty uncharted waters in terms of the level of reduction and the duration that it's held. I was expecting that there would be a rollback several times before this when they had an opportunity. So I've been pleasantly surprised that they haven't done so. And given all of that, and given the inflationary sentiment. Now, this inflationary pressure is due to oil prices, commodity prices, etc., food prices. It's not due to taxes, and taxes would play a very small
No, but taxes would add to the cost, right?
Sure. Well, let me put it this way, that if they are able to deal with these other problems, they would calm down inflation. If they're not able to deal with them adequately, then 2%, then they have bigger problems anyway. So all in all, it seems to me that it's quite a good bet that it would stay at
where
it
is today, so at 10%.
Yeah,
okay, but do either of you believe that for some industries he may roll it back and bring it back to 12%, and for others, as a growth incentive, keep it at 10%? Is that even possible? What I'm suggesting, is it practical?
So there are two things in play. As a policy, he won't be rolling it back. What he might be doing is that since GST is in the horizon, it may take 1 year, 2 years, and so that's something which we are not sure.
Right.
There might be some rollback of exemptions which might happen.
Okay.
That is the only thing I can see in terms
But
of...
is that to start aligning ourselves to GST? Is that an effort to boost revenue? Because I come back to the fact that if he wants to meet his fiscal consolidation targets of the year, he's going to have to find ways to boost revenue. We've not met the disinvestment target of this fiscal, but we've thankfully had 3G revenue come in. So how is he going to make up for the lack of 3G next year? if he wants to meet that 4.8% target, he's going to have to find ways of raising revenue. Where is he going to do that? He can't burden the common man with an increase in income tax. So then what does he do?
I think he'll still, and that's just the thought that this investment would still be his most chosen point rather than increase of taxation. It doesn't align. So right now it's almost aligned to the GST rates, at least the goods rate. Why would you want to change that? Because that will be fluctuating. Today there is a VAT rate in place also. So the total rate is almost what the GST is envisaging in terms of goods. So that is, in terms of goods, I think he's good where he is.
Do you think he could selectively maybe roll back rates? Would he even consider it?
He could selectively do this, and you look at it from another angle. We are looking at GST. Maybe it might come in 2012. A little pessimistic, it could come down maybe a year or two later. But then the GST rates are getting stabilized at 10, which means that he is going to keep this rate at 10%. He might not disturb this. Now, to get back to your point about where does he get the revenue, extra revenue from? I would believe that yes, he could broad base the service tax to an extent. If he comes in with something like a negative list, covering a wider range of services and bring in a substantial VATing or the SENVAT portion into it, I think that should take care of his requirements.
Okay, so I'm going to get into the details about service tax in just a bit. But since we've spent so much time talking about GST, let me hit on the one hopeful note that the finance minister expressed in the last month or so when he spoke to the states and said that he would like to bring the constitutional amendment bill in this session of Parliament, in the budget session of Parliament. Vivek, what's the likelihood that that will happen? And if it happens, is that a strong signal that we are on the path to GST maybe in a year or two?
Yeah, I think all the signals have been that we are on the path to GST. The question is that does that path come to an end on April 11, April 12 or whatever? So is the constitutional amendment a strong, the amendment bill a strong signal? Sure it is. But I think that we will be ready to implement GST roughly a year after two things are in place. The constitution is amended and the draft laws have been issued, discussed, assimilated by the states, etc. So until we've reached there, it's a little speculative as to whether it will happen in 2012 or whenever.
Okay, Vipin?
Yeah, so
what can he do outside of the constitutional amendment bill, if at all, do you anticipate in this budget to start moving towards GST? Can he start aligning rates in some fashion?
see, I think the goods rates are broadly aligned. I strongly feel that 10% excise duty plus 12.5%, 13.5% VAT rates, it's where they are wanting to keep their normative rate of GST.
Okay.
So goods are aligned. Services are at 10% and the expected rate is around 16%.
Right.
Given the status of the political scenario and given the inflationary situation, I don't think he's in a position to really get to from 10 to 12 or 14 in terms of alignment of the rates. What is going to happen is that there might be other things which might happen in terms of some small structural tinkering in terms of excise and service tax laws, which might appear to be moving towards a GST rather than the rates which are, so that might happen.
Mohan?
You asked a question about what signals would he send
Right.
to say that GST is
On the anvil.
serious about GST. 2-3 things which you could do straight away. Number one, what I feel is that he could integrate a lot of rates that's prevailing. If you look at the auto industry, you have 5 rates, SENVAT rate, NCCD, Education Cess, She Cess and Onto Cess, 5. All of them they could integrate together.
Okay.
Now, similarly, they could have it in textile industry and many other industries. He could integrate the whole thing into one. And this is one of those key features of GST. Number 2, which he could definitely do is he could really broad base the SENVAT scheme itself. Today, the SENVAT, especially on the service tax, what we call the input service, it's extremely litigious, and one won't really understand it unless so you split the hairs. How do we do it? Now, one way of doing it would be he could go on a cost to business basis, which means that so long as it's a cost to you, I give you the benefit, and you have to only establish this. Now, the third thing what he could do is he could really bring down the rates from maybe 6 or 7, which is prevailing today, to maybe maximum 2 or 3. One a standard rate, one a merit rate. One could be much lower than that, maybe for economic and other considerations. These are the clear signals which we can send to states and maybe the public at large to say that yes, we are dead serious.
What are the implications, for instance, if he integrates rates, what happens?
The first implication would be extremely simple to operate. Number 2 would be that there couldn't be disputes about a particular credit getting utilized for something else.